to Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions, the podcast where we dive deep into our faith on this incredible journey of balancing a life dedicated to healing, nurturing, and giving back. I'm Johanna, your host, and each time we meet, we'll explore the stories of remarkable individuals who are PAs, doctors, and professionals, and mission-driven changemakers, from the halls of our hospitals to the hearts of our homes, and into the communities we serve. Join us as we uncover the challenges, triumphs, and everything in between through the lens of our shared faith in Christ. Whether you're a healthcare professional, a parent, or someone passionate about making a difference for God's glory, this podcast is for you. So grab a cup of coffee or tea, settle in, and get ready to be inspired by real-life stories of resilience, compassion, and dedication, all rooted in faith. Hi friends, today I wanted to talk to you about community. I wanted to talk about connection and what community is, and why so many of us sometimes struggle having that connection or the ability to find community. Why are so many feeling lonely even though they're surrounded by millions of people in their cities? I also wanted to share a story today. Maybe it will resonate with someone who has felt the same way. Maybe it will encourage someone. I also feel that, sometimes we take for granted the benefits of community. In the recent weeks, natural disasters have ravaged the country. Yet it's amazing to see how, after the devastation, we do see communities coming together in the wake of these horrendous events. The loss, the grief, the horrors of just everything washed or wiped away or taken away in one fell swoop of nature. It's so hard, and I can't imagine what people feel like. I remember even going through a huge tornado here myself. We had been in the house when the tornado occurred, and all around us it was devastation. But by God's grace, we made it through. But we had lost the place we were living in. We had to move, find a place, everything. And we've had the amazing thing of people coming around and helping us. And a few of my friends at the time decided to join in with the Samaritan's Purse and be a tiny, small part of the community efforts in helping the restoration of the community. And although we were such a small, tiny fraction of the efforts, I saw just the immense togetherness of community working together, helping and showing that resilience. It was so inspiring. And I, could not believe just how many people came together to help everyone else who had lost everything, to rebuild, to restore. And I think that's what, we are seeing now in the wake of these floods and hurricanes and tornadoes on the East Coast, is communities coming together. It's a difficult process, not easy. It's sifting through the wreckage to find some source of hope. It's definitely something that I know many are struggling with right now. And they're probably longing for more community, more help, and I hope that we can be there for them. I know around the world, so many also face this and suffer with loss and grief and so many things. And communities rise up, communities get together, and they make a difference. There are people who want to make a difference. There are people who are working so hard to make a difference in the lives of others. It's amazing because even still, sometimes we still feel so lonely. We long for that connection and we long for that belonging. What makes us lack that community? What makes us feel so lonely despite the many people around us? We were in Peru recently, which is such a miracle in and of itself, because last year my husband was in the ICU. He was so ill, critically ill from chemo complications, and we were just uncertain of life or death or what's going to happen. We had no idea, but by God's grace, he rallied through. But he was still so weak and had to undergo another extensive major abdominal surgery. Even after he had just been hospitalized, just been ravaged by the chemotherapy. And the reason why I talk about these stories is because I know there are so many people who have faced chemo, cancer, and I hope that by speaking about it, that it'll encourage others um, to know that you're not alone, that there are others who have gone through. I pray that you find hope, that you find healing, and that you find community wherever you are. And I know that it's not easy. It was amazing though, because we had an oncologist and surgeon and doctors who took the time to call and let us know of any updates. They spent time talking to us, helping us, explaining. And, you know, it's hard being on the other side of medicine, being the patient's family member. But I'm grateful that I had the knowledge and the medical understanding so that I was able to advocate on his behalf, my husband's behalf, and speak up when needed. I know there are so many others, and recently many family members who have had to go through difficult things, and they're not being able to understand or have that medical background made things so confusing, and they were unable to fully understand what was happening, what symptoms to look for, when to ask the right questions, what questions even to ask sometimes. And I think that's why it's so important as a medical provider to take time to explain, to help them understand, because I know we're so busy. I know we're rushing. I know that time is never enough, but we have to. And I know this is something so simple. This is something that's ingrained. This is something that's taught in every medical training, that you take the time, you explain bedside manner. But sometimes people are not taking the time, maybe to fully allow the patient's family members and um, patients to understand what's going on and kind of really understand why the treatment is being done and why things are happening. And I know, we're all not perfect and things happen, but it's something I try to do as best I can. Sometimes I fall short myself, but I remember, you know, being in Sri Lanka when my father had cancer. I was 19, 20, early 20s and just undergrad, newly, freshly graduated. And I had no medical training. I had no nuanced understanding of medicine yet. And so I don't want to knock the medical practice there, but they did not explain things properly, nor did they take the time to help us understand what was going on or what to expect or what was exactly happening. And it felt like our lives were just in their hands, and we just had to accept whatever it was. Um, and there was no way that we could advocate for ourselves or try to find an alternative or understanding or way out. It was so confusing. It was very difficult. And I felt lost as a young girl, wondering what to do for my parents, for my father, and how to help. And we were kind of given no options. And I feel like now I try to put myself in the shoes of the patients and families, and I try my best in whatever way I can to help them understand, to help them, because I know what it is to feel so lost, and I don't want people to think this is how it is, this is what it's going to be, and this is how you'll have to handle it, like the physicians kind of were to us back there, And so, but I'm so glad that here, you know, when my husband was going through cancer and chemo and surgeries, that the physicians took time and the providers took time to help us, talk to us, care, and show that compassion and that connection. And we felt like we were in a community of people who wanted to help and show us the way to victory, you know? And I felt that in this journey through cancer this time around with when my husband had it. Whereas we did not feel that when my dad had it. It was very difficult and lonely. And I actually felt jaded in medicine, and I felt like medicine had failed. And in fact, that's why I decided to halt my pursuit of medicine for a little bit, and I pursued public health and went on to do the master's in public health first, worked in public health, trying to um, um, see, gain experience in um, NGOs and nonprofits, things like that. Um, and felt that, medicine had failed. And I feel like that's what, I can sense that sometimes what the patients and their families feel like is medicine has failed us. Um, and, we aren't able to get the answers we want or understand um, what's happening. And we're at a loss. And so that's just, how I'm kind of putting myself in the shoes of the patients and trying to understand what's going on with them. Um, because that's how I felt so many years ago when my own father went through chemo and cancer and
unfortunately did not make it through. Um, and so, anyways, but I still had that desire to pursue medicine somehow, and decided to go on and be a PA, physician associate, physician assistant. The new term is physician associate, but um, and so I went on and I decided to go for it, and I'm happy I did. I have learned a lot, and now I remember just going back to that day of surgery. Um, I had gone to work. I had rounded at the facilities, rounded on all my patients that day at two different facilities. And I went to the car, and the tire pressure light was blinking. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is going on? As the light blinked and then showed me that the tire pressure was at 23. I just was like, okay, well, I do know there's a tire shop just around the corner from one of these facilities. So I just prayed, Lord, help me make it to this tire shop somehow without the tire totally busting. And so made it to the tire shop, knowing that I needed to go home and pack because I was going to be at the hospital the next few days with my husband while he underwent the surgery and recovery. They were expecting it to be at least a week, but we didn't know. Of course, once you do the surgery only, you'll find out how well the patient responds. But so I still hadn't packed, and our 3-year-old was at home with my mom. My husband was resting, and I'm here at the tire shop trying to get this tire replaced or fixed or find out what's going to happen. And I felt so alone. I felt like overwhelmed in a way. I had just seen all the patients. I knew I still had to chart and get those done soon. I had to pack. I had to get back to the home, take my husband, and then we'd go for surgery. Um, and I felt like, do I have anyone I can call? At least call and say, hey, I am in need of a prayer or something. And I didn't have anyone that I could think of off the top of my head because we're not from this area. And when you're not from a area and you've moved there in adulthood for work or career, it's so hard to find friends. It's so hard to find community. And because oftentimes the people, especially in these smaller, not so bigger cities, many people just stick with their friends and communities that they've grown up with for many, many years. And so they're like, they don't really need outside new friends. So it's kind of hard to put yourself into these new communities and places. Um, but I thought I'll call a friend from work who I had worked with a while back, and I thought, well, I'll at least call her. She might say a prayer with me. And I called her. She did pray with me. Um, and sometimes it's hard because we're all busy. We all have families. We all have work and career and lives. So it's hard also to make an effort to find new friends or an effort to go out to help new people moving or trying to meet friends. So, you can't really blame anyone else, or you can't be stuck in self pity because everyone is so busy. And unless we take the time and effort ourselves to make those connections, to make the efforts to find community, we're not going to. So, all that to say is that although in that moment I was sitting in that tire shop feeling lonely, feeling like, why did we move here to this place? We don't know anyone, we don't have anyone. And I was kind of filled with just um, a little sadness at that moment. But I made an effort to give a call to a friend from work from a long time ago, and they responded. But another thing that we did make an effort was getting into a church community and finding ways to connect with community is something you have to do. You cannot just sit there waiting for people to come to you or for community to find you. Sometimes you have to go out and find it. And we had been trying to find a church to plug into, and it was kind of hard to find that. But in the end, thank God we found one, because all I can say is without the church community, I don't know where we would have been last year. They truly came to the rescue, and they showed and shared the love of Christ in such a way that was so, so touching. Because we were at a point actually where we were like, we, maybe had gotten into that where we were not really looking for community. We're not making the action steps to implement a plan to find community. We were stuck in our work, home, take care of the child, work, home, take care of the child, the routines that we get into, the bubbles that we get into. And we weren't making those efforts. And then that makes us think like, oh, well, we can't expect anything from anyone. Where, you know, because sometimes the way we think, the way we um, um, think negatively affects the way our outlook on life is, and thereby we just think negatively about everything or everyone around us, and we tend to be like, well, no one's going to help us, no one's going to do anything. What can we expect from anyone? But when we change our mindset and we change the way we think, which is what we did, which is how we were trying to find church communities to plug into, to grow. And this was not just for the benefit for just for us. We were trying to do that just even before the cancer diagnosis, long before that, because we know that community in the church is so important for our life and our spiritual life and our belonging, our ability to share, and our ability to find support and safety, our ability to feel like we can also give back by being in a church community. It's a way that we can find belonging too. So we had been searching for that for some time, and we finally found one. And then Paul gets cancer, and our whole world turns upside down again because this was the round two cancer and recurrence. We had already gone through it before. Now we had to go through it again, and we just could not believe it. And we were so just overwhelmed. And this church community came around us and brought us to tears. And we realized that there is community, there is hope, there is the love of God that is shown, and the love of Christ that shines through the hearts and hands and feet of people. I was revived in my heart and soul. I was revived in my mind. And I think, that's some aspects of the need for community, the need for that connection. It helps us feel, of course, less lonely. It helps us feel like we belong somewhere. It helps us feel like we can also give back, that we can also um, have safety. We have good emotional help. We're able to feel a better self esteem when we have a group of community members that we can rely on. There's less isolation. There's even physical benefits that can happen where, you can sleep better, you can have better physical health, especially like when you're part of like a good group of people who are keep you accountable, who keep you motivated. Um, there's so many things that belonging to a community helps. And we sometimes get so bogged down in our own bubbles, in our own ways, in our own routines that we forget to take the time to find community. Sometimes we want it to just come falling into our laps, and it doesn't. It we have to make those efforts to talk to people, to go out, to try, and that's what we found and we were grateful for. And I know um, many struggle to find community, many struggle to um, find that sense of belonging in, and they have so many needs, so many things, the difficulties, just like we had with cancer and, um, you know, feeling loneliness ourselves. But um, thank God for the community of the church. Um, it helped us not regret moving to this smaller area that we had moved to, and it helped us kind of feel like, okay, God has us where we're supposed to be, um, because we could not have done this alone. And I know we're all strong individuals, but sometimes we can't do things alone. We need the people around us to help us, to motivate us, to keep us accountable. And as providers, we need that motivation, that accountability, and we need to realize that not just not just us as providers needing community and connection with other providers or mentors or people to help us grow in our own work and life, but we need to make those connections and give a sense of community to our patients and the people that we help. And so I just wanted to, talk about these things in regards to community. And I hope that you are encouraged to find community, to seek out like-minded individuals or people who can help you, motivate you, keep you accountable, and keep you motivated to keep shining, to keep sparking hope in your life and in your families, in find that community that can help you spark hope. And I hope you enjoy this episode. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time, and thank you so much for all those who support and help us. And I pray that you will have a wonderful, blessed week. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions. We hope you found inspiration, insight, and a sense of connection in the stories we shared today. If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and follow us, leave a review. Your feedback helps us improve and reach more listeners like you. Follow us on Instagram and all the socials. We'd love for you to join a community of like-minded individuals passionate about making a difference through medicine, motherhood, and mission work. Remember, whether you're balancing the demands of a medical career, navigating the joys and challenges of parenthood, or dedicating yourself to a cause greater than yourself, you're not alone. We're here to support you, celebrate, and inspire one another on this incredible journey. Until next time, keep healing, keep nurturing, and keep sparking hope. This is Johanna signing off from Medicine, Motherhood, and Missions.